Hello everyone, welcome to this new episode of the Falco Weekly Community Calls. Let me share my screen to see the today agenda and we will follow the agenda point by point. Okay, so here we are. Please everyone, as everyone put your name into this link, I'm into this Academy, I'm linking it into the Zoom chat right now. So you can put your name at the top of the file and your GitHub handle in case you want. This week highlights. So basically in the past weeks, but also this past week, we did a lot of fixes and a lot of improvements to Falco because we are really near to a new release of Falco, which will be the Falco 0.24 version next week. Next week, basically in a week exactly. So we are proceeding with a lot of bug fixings on various parts of Falco. Fixes on drops, fixings on outputs, fix on pre-builds, fix on drivers, preparing the landscape, the terrain for new user space instrumentation approach that will make Falco able to be deployed also on environments like Fargate, thanks to Loris mainly. And so we are doing a lot of efforts in this sense. The first one that we want to advertise this week is a task that me and Lorenzo started some weeks ago and then completed at the start of this week, and it's a fix for building a BPF driver of Falco on CentOS 8 machines. Basically, a bit of history. I'll try to, Lore, if you want to come in, please do. I'll try to give a bit of history about what we did and what we end up doing to fix this issue. Basically, a month ago or something like that, we noticed in a filler, proc start update, if I don't remember wrong, in the eBPF driver of Falco, that basically there were in CentOS Auto some back parts of the kernel Linux that invalidated the checks on the kernel version that we do in the BPF driver, and that made our BPF probe not buildable anymore. So the first approach was by me and Leora try to generalize the functions to get the virtual PID and the task PID and things like that in order to avoid to check the kernel version. We did it. The probe was compiling, but then it was not working as expected. So this week, basically, we went with another approach that is more simple but also effective, which is this one. Basically, we introduced even more checks, this time about the release version of CentOS with this constant ppm rel release code. And in the case of CentOS Auto, basically we use the same code that we use for pre-419 kernels, because this was the problem that was making the eBPF probe not able to build. So we wrote this patch, submitted it, merged it in, and then we updated the Falco accordingly. So what remains to be done in the future week, in the weeks that starts now, is to ship a set of pre-built drivers also for CentOS 8. Me and Lorenzo are working on that. This is the PR on Falco that basically grabs that patch. And so, yeah, finally we can build again the BPF program on CentOS 8 distros. Then another highlights, Leo Grasso, which is in the call, spotted a really hard to find bug that was causing some drops and troubles with the outputs in Falco. Basically, it's just one line fix, but I can assure all of you that those kind of bugs are very, very tough to spot because
Can you zoom a bit, please?
yeah, sure. You have to remember to you have to tell me to zoom because I forgot.
Yeah.
I forgot. Sorry.
This bug made me crazy for several weeks until I started to debug everything.
Yeah.
Until I discovered that the problem was just the option did not arrive to the function
Yeah.
because this wrong variable name. That's it.
And this basically was causing the buffered output options to be ignored, and so all the debugging that we were doing about buffering or not buffering the outputs was nonsense because it it was always not buffered if I don't remember wrong. Okay.
Exactly.
The crazy thing is what this bug was generated in terms of bugs, because essentially we were seeing events disappearing, but they were not disappearing. They were just buffered by standard output, while we believed that the standard output was not buffering.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So,
Exactly.
Yeah.
so the cause was very unrelated to the source of the issue.
Yeah.
This because of dynamic languages like Lua, where you can pass another objects rather than options here. Anyways, let's move on. So thanks, Leo, for spotting it. Also, we accepted this week after a bunch of PRs, pull requests that Leo Grasso did to Falco and a good amount of time that he dedicated to fixing little bugs, also very important, like this one that we just mentioned. We accepted Leo Grasso as a Falco maintainer officially. So congratulations, Leo.
Thank you.
And then
Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you.
Congratulations.
And then I don't remember if we already talked about this, maybe in Slack or maybe in the past community call. I don't think so. But basically, GitLab adopts Falco now, which means that GitLab is working. It's still an ongoing effort by the GitLab teams, but GitLab is planning to use Falco in their security pipeline together with other open source software. If you want to read more, I put the link into the highlights because I think this is very strategic and very important for Falco. It's also a signal of success. I'm very proud of being on GitLab, on a GitLab issues, also because I really like the way that they plan everything into issues. Look how beautiful it is. And you can read more about the strategy to integrate Falco here. You can find the link in the document. I will push the document towards the community repository of Falco Security Organization later after the call. So congratulations to all of us and our community for the continuous effort in making Falco better day by day. So now that we completed the highlights, I would like Dotan. Thank you for.
Sorry, Leo, I remember you just to zoom also this page, please.
Oh yeah, sorry, my monitors are too big. It's better now? Can you?
Yeah, it's okay for me.
If you can do it a little bit bigger for all people like me, it would be even better.
You are the only one with real Falco eyes. This is why it is so small for
Exactly.
you.
I have Falco eyes. Okay, sorry, folks. Dotan, nice to have you here. Thanks for joining again us. I remember that during the past week you waited 1 hour and then the agenda was too long and you had to drop off. But I remember that, and I tried to put you like the first point here so you can present us log ZIU and how log ZIU joins Falco community and uses Falco and so on. So please, welcome.
So first of all, thank you very much for having me and for accommodating me early on in the agenda. It was fascinating to listen also to the previous community call and see all the activities and the AWS, and really exciting stuff going on here. So good that you're busy. I just wanted to take just a brief time of your time just to say that Logs.io, we joined in as adopters for the Falco community. So sort of just briefly sharing with you. I also posted something, a blog post about the integration in case you have that already on the adopters page on GitHub. So you have the link there. I'd be glad to post it maybe also here on this call as well. But
Yeah.
generally speaking, Logs.io, or maybe if you can do that while I'm chatting, it'd be great. Anyway, Logs.io, we're great enthusiasts of open source in general, and essentially what we do is we pick the what we identify as the best of breed open source projects, mainly, of course, for DevOps and DevSecOps domains, and offer them in as managed solutions, also as well as some additions, but essentially that's it. So on the operation side, we have the Elasticsearch, Kibana, the Elk stack, related activity stack. We have the Grafana. We have the, thanks for bringing it up. We have the Grafana. We have Jaeger, if you know, also a peer project in the CNCF, now that you're also in the neighborhood. So all of these more on the operation side, on the DevOps side, on the security side, again, based on the same stack, based on Elasticsearch for processing of events. We have a cloud SIEM solution. So I know that already as part of the adopters list, you have quite a few other SIEM solutions. So probably very similar to what you have with other solutions. We just look for, in addition to the traditional solutions, security, endpoints, and so on. We are looking for the ones that give a proper answer to the modern environments, to the containerized environments, to the cloud native environments, and so on. And we definitely had our eyes on the Falco projects as a very promising project. Of course, we were also very excited seeing it graduating on the CNCF. That made us believe even stronger that we bet on the right project. So congratulations on that as well. Old news for you guys, but still exciting. So we've created the integration. Essentially, on the technical aspect, it's fairly straightforward. Dumping the events to a file, then fetching them based on the FileBit open source software, and shipping them to an Elasticsearch cluster, and then analyzing it based on Elasticsearch, and also based on some, I call it high-level rules on top of the basic Falco rules, so that we can also crunch it together with some additional information that we have from the overall system. So together we have both the ability to provide the visibility on top of Falco, but also some more integrative capabilities, assuming that the user has other systems plugged into the Cloud SIEM solution, so that we can build a more comprehensive solution. And the convenience of, jumping between, the dashboard views, Kibana-based, straight to, exploring the raw events on the Explore interface that you may know from Kibana and so on. So also the convenience of tooling that allow for quick, time to resolution and investigation, and filtering out noises on the one hand, and on the other hand, on the real alerting, the false positives, and on the other hand, drilling down very effectively on the real issues. So that was the focus. And on the blog post, I'm trying to outline one, just take one example and follow through, like a reverse shell case based on Netcat and something like that, just to make it a bit more concrete. But the idea is there, and we have some other rules around, trying to plug in malicious repo or other things that we've identified as both on our based on our experience, also some interesting cases that Falco can, can help,
recently we introduced rules for detecting executables being created inside containers or operations that makes so containers drift operations. Maybe since you mentioned that you at Logzilla are particularly interested into the cloud native aspect also of Falco, that could be another example that you can find useful to show. I don't know, just something that comes to top of my mind right now.
That's a great great reference. I'll look for the updates and read more about that. Thanks. That's on my end. I'm trying to keep it short. I know that you have a busy agenda, but if you have any questions or any suggestions for a newcomer or anything else, I'd be glad to take it now before moving on to the next item in the agenda.
First of all, I'm very glad and very happy that you joined the call and that you told us, Logzeta is using Falco for creating this solution, this cloud SIEM solution, and at the moment, I have no other no questions for you. But if you have, please do. Please ask all the questions you want. But here on Slack, and we will be glad to do our best to.
Great. Maybe one point that I wanted to bring up with the community, with the members here. First, I should mention we're also members of the CNCF, so maybe another touch point through which we can collaborate. That's one thing. And another, I thought again on my end, it was very native for me to write this blog post and promote Falco as one of our recommendations for a cloud native environment together with our cloud SIEM. I was wondering if you have any framework where maybe we can also give some exposure to that collaboration also from the Falco community side of things. Be interested in hearing this aspect, more of a sort of a marketing related topic than a technical, but if you can just let me know how to approach that.
Yeah, for sure. Falco doesn't have formal marketing as a project, but we do quite a bit of evangelism on the open source side. Things that come to my mind, for example, are we're always happy to work with adopters, both end users and companies that integrate Falco on doing joint talks, tracks, conferences, blogging together, and stuff like that. In a general way, for us, it's very important to highlight for our user base the use cases and the way Falco is adopted and leveraged. For example, we typically have slots at conferences like KubeCon that we always try to use these slots with end users, partners, adopters to bring real use cases instead of just theory. I mean, we also like to bring theory to the community, but we very much care about use cases. So I think that the best way to take advantage of those opportunities is always, stay here, because, for example, for KubeCon North America, we have 2 slots, and at a certain point, we'll bring them up during this call to see who's interested essentially in using those slots. In a general way, what happens in Falco is discussed either on GitHub or on the mailing list or here. So long answer, but yes, there's always interest. Yes, there are opportunities, and let's keep in touch and let's stay engaged.
That's great. And if we can target, we were also looking at the KubeCon North America, so I'd be glad to reach out also around that towards the end of the year. But if you can take maybe something small, just to again have some presence there beyond the adopters page, or the logo list. I know, again, taking the focus of, as you said, thought leadership, or talking about open source based detection and remediation based on Falco, together with, again, the Elk stack-based solution, something like that. Yeah, it's already here, by the way. I already submitted. Thanks for accepting the changes on the vendor icon. I'm saying in addition to that, and I don't know if you're the right person, I'd be glad to follow up offline, but that could be interesting. Maybe taking a blog post of a thought leadership nature, discussing sort of best open source flow to take it end to end or something along these lines.
Sure. Yeah. Let's bring, I would say, let's bring it to the mailing list for a discussion like this, right? Leo?
Yeah. Also because Chris is not here. Chris is usually approaching
the evangelist in charge.
The evangelism side. We are both we are more nerds, more write code rather than words. But yes, for sure. If you,
I'll bring it up on the mailing list and hope that someone will be willing to
probably
join forces on something as small as that, and then we can take it to bigger initiatives.
Yeah, one step at a time.
Thanks a lot, guys. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, Dotton, for being here. So next point. Okay, I'm here, Leo Dido. So it's me again. Sorry, I'm monopolizing the call. Driver version is now 80, 50C, 80, 89, blah, 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 which means that basically we updated the driver version of Falco to this hash, which contains a lot of cool things that I was mentioning before briefly. For example, support for user space instrumentation, which is tied to PDIG projects and deploying Falco on environments like Fargate. The fix that I mentioned before about building the BPF probe on CentOS 8 again. Some nerdy fixes about C++ const correctness of libscap classes. And what we have still to do for next week in order for the release to be successful is to ship a set of pre-built drivers for this new driver version because we updated it and we need to basically regenerate all the distro kernel combinations to target this driver version, build all the drivers and put them on bin tray where we usually ship a set of pre-built drivers. So as you can see here, no, you can't see, I should zoom. That hash is not here. So what we still need to do before the release of next week is to build pre-builds for 85C release. Moving on. Yeah, I submitted this morning this little PR. Basically, during the debug of the drops and other bug that arose in the Falco issue list, we found that the -s and --stats interval flags of the Falco CLI were very helpful for grabbing statistics about the Falco running on people environments. But we also noticed that there was a bug about the statistics interval. Basically, the statistic interval flag was not able to have a value greater than 1 second. So it was able to accept only values less than 999 milliseconds, 999 milliseconds. And so basically I fixed this. This is something really, really small, but it's also a breaking change because I decided to change the name of the flag towards one more coherent with the other flags that we have in the Falco CLI. And then I fixed it because basically there was a problem in the way that the conversion between milliseconds and iTimer and iTimer val struct was done. So this is really simple thing, but that was needed also for debugging reasons. moving on. Leora, do you want to talk a bit about this comment about logs, Falco logs not appearing into the, this is really also related to the fix that Leo Grasso did.
Yeah, it's the same, but there is also some about the TTI that, in my opinion, it's not needed, but I think it's interesting.
Yeah, I don't think
interesting
we need
to
this
know.
anymore.
Exactly, but it's just interesting to know about that. If you, Lorenzo, want to add something.
So Laura, if you want to say something about, please do.
I don't think we have anything to add, honestly.
Okay, so if someone wants to know more about, please read this wonderful comment by Lorenzo.
Because there's nothing more to know about, because once the fix from Leonardo Grasso is done, this is not happening anymore.
Okay,
So we don't need this.
perfect. Let's move on. Okay, Kaiser did a wonderful and very long PR about rules and rule structures. As you all probably already know, the Falco rules have macros and lists to allow some degree of customization to users. In various cases, rules were missing macros to allow such customizations. So basically, what Kaiser did, and then I helped him a bit, was to, let me unview this. Basically, had a lot of macros that acts like placeholder for users to do exclusions and so customize rules. For example, you can use these macro user known cron jobs to exclude something from the matching of scheduled cron jobs. Same thing for package registries, update package registry operations. Same thing for reading SSH and so on. Anyway, I don't want to spend so many time on this, but there's a whole list here that will be in the changelog next week, describing all the new macros introduced and the rules they refer to allow customizations. So thanks to Kaiser that unfortunately is not here, but this is okay. Now, Leo Grasso, if you want to talk about this rename that you did.
Yes, it's just a simple thing. We renamed the skip module load environment variable to skip driver loader as per our scope of artifact proposal. It's just a thing to make the naming more consistent with the name of the tool, and that's it. I also made another PR to include it in our documentation.
Okay, thank you.
Until now, the skip model load was never mentioned in the official.
Thank you very much. Just to give a bit of context to other people, basically, during the past months, we went through a process of reshaping the Falco artifacts, and we wrote some proposals because this is the way that we try to do things. We wrote some proposals. In particular, we wrote two proposals. One that was matching the work already done for this process of reshaping the artifacts. When I talk about artifacts, I refer to Falco Docker images, Falco packages, dev, RPM, tarballs, and things like that, all those sort of things. And then we went through a process of reasoning about the name of packages, the architectures, the name of Docker images, the scope of the Docker images, the various Docker images that we had. We removed some, we renamed others, we improved other images, and then we documented everything. Then we wrote a second proposal, which is the desired scope of artifacts, scope of Falco artifacts, and we're working on this as soon we have some free spare time. And Leo, what Grasso did was basically to just
to perform the action to rename it.
Yeah, perform this. We still have some other things to do in order to get this done, checked, but we're working on it. So just to give a bit of context to the people in the call. Thank you very much, Leo. Then you again.
Yeah, it's me again. This is just a little thing because sometimes I noticed in the issue that the log pasted by the user did not match
Okay.
version he declared. I would like to add just the Falco version at the beginning of the log. That's it.
Okay.
A very simple addition that can simplify, or I mean, can avoid the mistakes when triaging the issue and talking.
Oh yes, this is the thing that we talked about on Slack, right?
Exactly, that's it.
Okay, as I said, I'm okay with this change. I think that Lorenzo is also okay. As soon we have the boundaries pretty highlighted in mind. With boundary, I means that we are putting some build information into runtime logs. I don't want us to mix such information, all kind of these informations forever into logs. I mean, I can understand why a build information like driver version and Falco version can be in logs. It's also something that a lot of other open source tools do. But I mean, I don't want to the CMake logs
Exactly.
to end up in the Falco runtime logs later, because I don't think
And
that we want.
I totally agree with that. Indeed, I added a note in the PR
Okay.
saying that it's not a goal of this PR to add other information to the, I mean, other build time information in the log. This is
Okay,
just
on this PR, but hopefully also not
yeah.
future PRs.
Exactly. But I wanted to specify that because you know, someone can want to add other things, and I think the minimum is just the Falco version.
Thank you for specifying, because this is okay. Then request inclusion to Helm Hub. I know nothing about this, so please enlighten me.
Yes, this is something that Thomas brings up.
Okay.
Is Thomas online?
Is Thomas here? Yes.
Yes, I am.
Yeah, if you want to add something on my side, I haven't had time yet to dig into this, but in general, of course, I agree that we should ask, we should do a request for inclusion in the hub.help.sh. Go on, please.
Yes.
Okay, so let me just understand. Who's taking care of this? Thomas and you, only Thomas, you? Because
until now, I just reported what Thomas said and nothing, because I have to dig into. I think it's not so complex to do that. One thing that I would like to do before this is just to merge the PR related to releasing automation.
this one? This one?
Yeah, this is this issue just summarize the whole behavior we want.
Oh, this PR number 31?
Exactly, that one. This is just the first part that implements automation for charts that live inside this repo. Because we also want that, maybe we don't want, we may want that some charts lives in another repo, in another repository, but are still released on the same Helm hub. That's Falco security.
Okay, I think this is a good point. This is a point that we should discuss. Yeah, for example, we may have a chart for Falco Sidekick, Helm charts for Falco Sidekick. We may have Helm charts for Falco Exporter and other Falco components around the organization.
Exactly.
How do we want to handle that? Do we want the Helm chart source code to live near the source code, or do we want that to live into the charts repository? Let me say that I know nothing about Helm. I mean, very little. I know very little about Helm, so I cannot make an informed decision right now. But this is something that we should discuss. So please, Thomas, if you have experience with that, Laura, I know that you have. Bring your own ideas and let's discuss it.
For me, I'm at the same point than you. I don't have any idea what's the better. For now, for Falco Sidekick, the M chart is directly inside the repository. It's quite convenient for me because I can update it at each release of Falco Sidekick. But I don't like the idea to split all M charts across a lot of repositories, because if we have a single source of truth, it's easier for our customers to find out new services to deploy inside their clusters, which are related to Falco. And if we are able, after the pull request of Leo, to add a single source of truth for the well-known Helm hub, it will be easier to manage that. I don't know.
Yeah, and if
I'm just taking note.
Yeah, I wanted just to add a bit more of context. Basically, in my humble opinion, I think that both options make sense. It's depend on the use case. And if possible, I think, yes, we should support both cases. I mean, the Falco charts currently, the source of the Falco chart currently lives in the Falco security charts repository. And that's okay. Some other charts, like, I don't know, the Falco exporter or the Falco Sidekick can live in their own repository. To do that, we need a bit of more automation, because one thing is the Helm chart source, another thing is the artifact that will be published and will be consumed by the app. Of course, all artifacts should need to stay in the same place. In this way, we can add just one repository to the Helm.
So let me see if I understood correctly. Let me recap. Yeah. Your vote is for having the charts into Falco security charts, all the charts, not only the Falco ones. I mean, also the Falco exporter ones, the Falco Sidekick, right?
Not exactly. My vote is for have all artifacts in one repo and sources in multiple repos. That's a bit complex to automate, but it's possible.
I'm sorry, I'm not getting it. Sources are already.
Okay, I can explain.
Sources are already in different repos.
Yeah, but we can decide to move them into the same repo or leave the.
So I was getting it correctly, that you want Helm charts of different repos to be in one repo, which is Falco security charts.
What do you mean with Helm chart? The source of the Helm chart or the final artifact? If let me show you a thing. If you can open the GitHub Pages branch.
Here in charts?
Of charts, yes. Yeah, I know it's a bit complex because of the naming of this stuff. Open the index.yaml.
Okay. Okay, so this is the
manifest consumed by Helm that represent an Helm repository.
Okay.
Okay. And this should be the single source of truth consumed by Helm. And in my opinion, it must be centralized inside this repo.
Okay, understood. Now I
understood. If you look, for example, at line 25, okay, you can see an artifact.
Yep.
Okay, with the PR eccentrics and user made, we can grab a source, make the artifact, and publish it as a GitHub release, upload the artifact, and then regenerate the index. Yeah, but this is not directly
also from other
with the
repos.
source.
I mean, also from other repos.
Not now, but is what I wanted to add in a
Because basically, ideally, theoretically, to make it work, Thomas should be able to release Falco Sidekick, and that release somehow will trigger the process here to also ship create the Helm artifact and update the Helm manifest and index accordingly to the Thomas release happened on another repo. So I see some GitHub APIs in the
Exactly, and this would be perfect in my opinion, because in this way we can have sources in their own repository, but we can also have the source in the same repository, for example Falco, because I think we don't want to have the Helm chart inside the Falco repository.
Yeah, it's flexible. You're saying it's flexible. If a project wants to have the source in together and then ship it through this one, can. But okay, if a project like Falco doesn't want the charts inside, it can also work this way.
Exactly. This is my idea.
But since this is a bit complex, like a workflow, why not? I mean, I have no opinions. Let me say it again. But why not just creating other folders here for Falco Exporter, Falco Sidekick, and then use that and use these like complete source of truth, both source artifacts and Helm manifests?
Because, in my opinion, it's not easy to make things in sync, especially when, for example, in small project, each release means also an Helm chart release. Small project, I mean, like Falco Exporter. It's different in Falco, because in Falco you have some more backward compatibility with things.
Understood. So you're saying that creating an Helm chart for a generic whatever release of a Falco component is always and always will be a complete automated process.
Yeah.
Are we sure that there's not the case where to do an Helm chart for some release of a Falco component, we need some manual intervention? Because in the moment we need some manual intervention, the beauty of this process that you're describing will be.
Indeed, in fact, for this reason, in the PR about the release of the automation, there is a condition, I think, to check if the charts.yaml was changed. Because in theory, an Helm chart should be released every time the version inside the charts.yaml file has changed.
Okay.
The point is this, just to explain to all, this PR is doing just one thing. For all subfolder inside this repo, it looks for the charts.yaml, and if that file has changed, it starts a release process for that release. At the end of the flow, another process starts into the Jaka pages branch and update the index to publish the modification. That's it. What is missing here is fetch sources from another repository, for example.
Okay, which was what we were talking about.
Of course, we have a lot of options. I think the most complex part was already done by this PR. The other part, I don't know if you want to.
I don't know. I have to put my head into this. I cannot say right now what's best to do.
In my opinion, I think it's depend on maintainers. If maintainers want that the sources of the charts must live in their own repository, we need to implement that.
Okay, Thomas said that he wants the source of charts live
Yeah,
with Falco
yeah.
sidekick. Okay.
And I want to, for example, Falco exporter.
Just a question, Leo Grasso.
Yeah, tell me.
You mean each time we add a commit, we have a commit on the chart.yaml, your pipeline will be triggered and all will be done, but at each commit, not each tag or each release specifically?
Actually, it's not yet implemented, so we can decide. In my opinion, we can choose, in my opinion, there are two options. One option is just to use the tag. So when you tag the script or whatever, you can check if the chart has changed, and in that case, the release process will start. The other option is just to check every commit, and if the version inside the chart.yaml has changed, then start the release process. We can decide about that.
Okay, I see. Okay. For my own part, the change of the M version and the new release of Falco Sidekick are at the same time.
Exactly. So for example, in your case, just a tag could be an option, if I'm not wrong. If I understood correctly.
Sorry for the noise in background, this is my son.
No, that's the cutest thing that has happened on this
Yeah.
call in a long time.
No worry.
Okay, so Elm broke my head.
Yeah.
Luckily
Mine too.
Likely the call is near to end. There's someone that wants to add something. Lore,
Yes,
what do you want to add?
I don't want to add anything. I don't deal with them chart.
Okay, this is.
I wanted to add.
I actually enjoyed a lot the voice of the baby in the background. That's what I want to add.
Yeah, me too. Elm ruins my life. Sorry.
This is my day-to-day job to work with Elm.
We're joking, eh? Let's clarify. We're just making jokes. But...
Thomas, I need some advices because I have a baby too, and you always want to snoop into my room. So we need to exchange opinions and ideas around that topic.
Sure.
I have to keep babies out of the door.
The problem is that I don't want to, right? So, but I still have to continue to do my job.
This sounds like the Grasso process of having the source in a place and the deployment.
Yeah, exactly. Anyway, I wanted just to add the last thing. If nobody disagree, I would like to continue that PR just for the first part and merge it, because at least that PR will work with the Falco charts that is already there.
I don't disagree. I agree, and I also encourage you to play with them, because I will not do it.
Thank you. Thank you.
And if you send me like a link, I can review and stuff. So
yeah, it's the number 31. But I think you already reviewed.
You already reviewed, Spencer.
Yeah, I was just saying, like, as work goes forward, I don't always check them. So
I was just asking because I wanted to be sure that nobody disagree on that. But now I think it's clear that.
I mean, if you do something that works and something that works pretty good, why should disagree?
If you need someone who disagrees, I can disagree just because you need to. But
no, Laura, thank you.
I don't need. Okay.
Thank you, Laura.
Disagreement as a service.
Disagreement. Okay, so who agrees to do the next call, Master of Ceremonies?
I guess it's my turn, but if someone else wants, I can leave my seat.
So Leo Grasso 1, Leo Grasso 2, Leo Grasso 3. Leo Grasso. Okay, just a reminder for everyone. Fasten your seat because next release will be huge. There are like 100 commits in Falco master that needs to be released. Luckily, I'm the one that needs to do the release with Grasso support. As always, I'm very lucky. So
a good opportunity to add a lot of bugs.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
So I'm also thinking of taking vacation that day. But aside of this, thanks everyone for joining, and see you next week with the release call.
Ciao.
Ciao.
Oh, thank you, everyone.
Thanks.
Thank you.